Suicide rates are very high for lawyers, depression is high, and yet the profession doesn't allow you to talk about your mental health because it's kind of frowned upon.
Hey there, welcome to the AI Sidekick, the show designed to help you banish your AI anxiety. I'm your host, Ryan Heath, from Robin AI. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Maryam Salehijam, who is now working with Robin AI, full disclosure, but that's not why I've invited her to join us today on the podcast. It's because she literally wrote a PhD on the ins and outs of contract clauses. She's written legal textbooks, she's lived in 8 countries, and she now calls California home. So welcome to the AI Sidekick, Maryam.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm so excited to be here and at Robin AI.
Now, you are a bundle of energy, I think it's fair to say. And one of the things that really stood out to me when I was going through your body of work was that you describe yourself as a legal happiness champion. What did you mean by that? Can lawyers, successful lawyers, actually be happy?
Well, that's the goal, isn't it? I think the reason I came up with that as my kind of mission in my professional career is because every one of us goes to law school for a really good reason, which is we want to help people, we want to enforce justice, we want to follow the rule of law. And those are very positive attributes, right? Those are great goals to have. But once we get into practice, it's long hours, it's weekends, sleepless nights. There's still a lot in the legal profession we need to fix, right? In terms of how balanced it is, right? How accessible it is for everyone. Access to justice is a huge problem. But in pursuing all those things, we're really becoming unhappy. Suicide rates are very high for lawyers, depression is high, and yet the profession doesn't allow you to talk about your mental health because it's kind of frowned upon, right? A lot of lawyers are scared of telling the bar that they have anxiety or depression. All those things to me are just not right. And I think we can find a better way to make first legal more inclusive and a little bit more sustainable for everyone. And I'm hoping technology has that answer for us, in addition to us working on the foundations of how we practice law, so we make it more sustainable.
And it really feels like AI is a bit of a double-edged sword there, where I 100% buy the idea that if you can incorporate AI into your daily workflows, that means you can get home to the kids or take time to do sport and get that balance into your life. But there must be some lawyers out there who also worry, hang on, it's not just going to make the balance better. It might throw whole careers out the window if it can replace some lawyers. Where do you see those sort of trade-offs occurring?
Ooh, I love that question. I think if you talk to any lawyer that has touched generative AI, they can tell you it's not about to replace me anytime soon. So that fear, I believe, is unfounded. But the fact that AI can save you a lot of time, it can cut down on your task. That is completely true. And for law firm lawyers that are billing their clients by the hour, that can feel very daunting, right? Associates have billables they have to hit, partners less so. But that creates this dynamic where they're not incentivized to be efficient. They're not incentivized to save their clients time, because if they do, they will end up not getting promoted. They will end up not getting their bonus. And that's where kind of the balance needs to reset, right? We need to really think about law firms and how they're billing their billing practices and where technology comes in. But where I see the value immediately is in-house teams, right? They're not billing by the hour, they're salaried, they have more work than they have people. If every legal team I've ever talked to, they have too much work and they don't have enough budget. That's where I see kind of this holy grail of Gen AI coming in and helping in-house teams get a little more lift, right? Get more freedom.
When I think about everything that the big law firms are facing, they're coming under a lot of political pressure and attack, as well as all of these questions around the technology. They might be, too busy looking at their own navels and saving themselves to focus on the technology at the moment.
Absolutely. And I've only been at Robin for 4 weeks. The number of general counsels and chief legal officers that are reaching out to us to talk to us really tells me in-house teams see the future of legal with Gen AI. And it's fascinating to me that it's the GC and the legal ops together coming. It used to be legal ops goes out, finds technology, goes to the GC, tries to convince them, please, 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 let us make you more efficient. But the fact that the CLOs and the GCs are coming and saying, we think this has going to have an impact for us and a positive impact, I'm so glad to see it, because I agree.
I do have this sense, as someone who's relatively new to legal AI and legal tech, that there's been a lot of promises in the past. So almost we might be able to deliver with the improving generative AI tools now what was promised back in the day with things like CLM tools and other less advanced tech.
Ooh, okay. I see that dynamic at play, but Gen AI cannot do what everybody wants, which is do your contracts for you. So many lawyers and GCs and legal ops want this AI that just has playbooks, takes the third party paper, red lines for you. And there are a ton of companies that are going to come say, we can do that in 2 clicks. Those are the same companies that mimic the CLMs back in the day that said, this is so easy, you just implement it, it just understand things, it'll save you so much time, it'll reduce your cost, blah, 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 blah. The CLMs were overpromising, and now those J and AI companies are overpromising, and that's where I see the risk. If a legal technology company wants to stay in this space and have a positive reputation, it actually needs to underpromise and overdeliver. But what I see tech companies do in the legal space is do what tech companies do in every space, which is overpromise and underdeliver. And that can work for a lot of industries, but in legal, we remember, we're like turtles. Our memory is solid. We will remember that you lied to us and we will never want to work with you again. And I think that's my kind of red flag for Gen AI. If you are listening to this and you are a potential buyer or user of generative AI, be very mindful of the companies that are sounding too good to be true.
So maybe to like circle back to your specialty in contracts now, I think a lot of people see contract review tools as an efficiency play. Are there other ways you see sort of more strategic value coming in? So if you're like the CLO or the GC and you might not be thinking about these more strategic plays just yet, like what would you go and tell those folks now? Like, hey, it's more than efficiency. What is the more part?
Ooh, the more part is money, revenue, right? A lot of GCs are thinking too narrow. They're just going, my contracts take too much time to review and draft. I need to speed that up. But what they're not seeing is all the contracts they already have that are blocking revenue, right? Marketing wants to do a launch. We don't know if they can. We don't know if the contract's allowed. Sales wants to do a price increase. They don't know if they can. They don't know if the contract's allowed. The folks in charge of corporate development want to go buy a company. They need to do diligence quickly. They don't know what's in the contracts. That is where you can unlock a ton of money as a legal team. This vault of contracts that are worth millions, if not billions of dollars that you might be underutilizing.
Yeah. Now, you also wrote a book on mediation and commercial contract law. So I've got a question basically, are there ways that AI can be a prevention rather than a cure for some legal problems? If we could use AI to better draft clauses in contracts, to make it clearer where mediation can occur or to make the negotiations go faster, like how could we use this tech to prevent disputes and the costs that come with them?
I absolutely love that question because I spent 4 years of my life going from conference to conference, from law firm to law firm, telling people, hey, stop copy pasting your dispute resolution clauses last minute into these contracts. And why did I say that? Because if you talk to any litigator, arbitrator, or judge, they will tell you the dispute resolution clause, that's that little paragraph at the end of the contract, is what people fight about first. It's what people spend millions of dollars disputing because it can make a huge difference in how the problem gets resolved down the line. But most people copy paste it in at the last second. They're actually nicknamed midnight clauses. Why is that? Because when you're signing a contract, like when you're going into a marriage, you're not thinking about divorce. I'm just going to get this contract signed as quickly as possible because sales is yelling at me, or procurement needs this done, or something is happening where there's this pressure. And that's where I see the downfall of contracts. And if you talk to any CLO and GC and you go, what is your biggest spend area? They'll say litigation. We spend the most money on litigation.
And everyone hates litigation. There's no part of litigation that people enjoy unless you are the billable hours.
Exactly. Law firms love litigation, in-house teams hate it, and yet your contracts can prevent you or reduce. No, they can't prevent litigation, but they can reduce how many things are in dispute. Because if the contract is very clear, then you're only fighting about one or two things.
It's like the commercial version of a constitution. Like you need the constitution to be watertight and drafted really well because it's there for when things go bad, not for when things go great. You don't need it when things are going great because you're just friends and everything's going well.
Perfect. That is like a perfect analogy.
Now, if I can get you to sort of think about all the different types of companies you've dealt with, from the startups all the way through to the Fortune 500, do you see any patterns or differences in how they approach AI?
Oh, I definitely see a difference. The bigger the company and the more technologically advanced the company. So, for example, if I'm talking to NVIDIA, which I was talking to them, or if I'm talking to Panasonic, 106-year-old company, they know the limitations of generative AI. So they're not going to call me and say, I want a contract to come and do exactly what my junior counsel is doing. And I wanted to do it perfectly and I wanted to do it today. Because they themselves are developing and selling generative AI technology. So they know exactly what the tech can and cannot do. It's the smaller companies, it's maybe the companies that it's the first time GC, or maybe they're not selling deep tech, that are calling me and asking for the world, and they expect that the world exists right now. That magical ball is out there. It's going to do exactly what they have in their brain. It's going to work exactly on their contracts, in their niche, for their company. And the reason they want that is because they are limited in resources. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough budget. They need help. They need it today. Um, and to those companies, I say, lower your expectations. Talk to companies who are going to be realistic with you so you can set in a sustainable strategy that's going to make you successful long term versus companies that will overpromise something and not really deliver on it at all.
Maybe you just answered my next question, which was going to be around what's the hardest question a prospect has thrown at you, and did they buy the answer you gave them?
The hardest question they've asked me about a Gen AI tool and what I told them. I think the hardest question is, how are you guys different? Right? Because all of us in this field of Gen AI for contracts, we're solving the same problem with a very similar path, right? We're going, okay, we know we need to get there and we need to hit these parameters to get there. So we're all trying to solve for those parameters. But the answer I always say is, yes, we all are solving the same problem because this problem has not been solved in hundreds of years, but it's the foundation that you need to look at. When you go to buy a house, you might look at 100 houses and they might all look really pretty and they might all be able to put a roof over your head. But if the foundation is bad, your house will cost you millions of dollars. Your house will cost you your health. If it has mold in it, it's going to be a problem. So when you go to inspect these tools, you need to look at the foundation, which is, what model are they using? Why did they choose that model? How are they customizing that model? Where is your data going to get processed? What cloud provider are they using? How secure is that cloud provider, right? How much are they spending on your security as your vendor? Who are the people that work for this company, right? How long have they been there? How long has the company been around? If a company just literally popped up in the last 6 months, they might not be here next year. So I explained the foundations of what makes a legal technology company successful and secure. And then let's talk about the bells and the whistles and what color is the door and the windows.
How easy is it for you to spot some kind of buyer of AI? I don't know who the role is in the legal team, but can you tell which ones are serious and have done their homework versus the ones who are, being told to go find an AI tool and really don't know what they're talking about?
That's so funny. Well, the latter will tell you. So if you ask, hey, who are you here today? Someone told me to go look at these tools, so I Googled. I'm like, okay, cool, And I never talk about
Do you
Robin.
tell them to just go away and do more research, or how do
No,
you
I just
then?
tell them, before I give you a demo, let me tell you what you need to be looking at. And then once I tell you those things, go look at a bunch of providers, look at us, really do your homework. I can say I can play basketball against LeBron James. I can be on the court, but I'm 5'2". What I don't want is that they buy tools that they think are going to solve all their problems, and they don't solve all their problems. They solve some of the problems, and they sit there and go, oh, I still have too much work. I still don't have enough budget. So I really want to partner with them to make sure that when we're solving this problem, we're solving it really well.
Excellent. I love it. And then we all know most lawyers still just work in Microsoft Word, either by choice or by habit, but it's the reality. Do you think it's possible for legal teams to just leapfrog a couple of generations of technology to go from that Microsoft Word, like I print my emails way of working through to actually embracing AI?
There'll be the power users of the Gen AI that know the tool, that use it really well. But that's where Robin AI really stood out to me. Of all the providers of Gen AI out there, we know that a technology can be built really good. It can have the best UX. It can have the best UI. It can really be intuitive. And yet, certain legal professionals will struggle with using it. And so, what do we do there? What we do is our managed service, right? We go, okay, we know at some point, no matter how good the tech is built, your legal professionals might continue to struggle to use it. Even Microsoft Word, there are legal professionals out there who do not know how to format using it properly. It's the reality, and that's okay. They're still legal geniuses. You don't have to know how to do everything perfectly. So we go, you know what? We'll just take over your contracts for you. We'll do a flat fee per document with guaranteed turnaround time. Of course, we're using our Gen AI on your contract, so we're going faster. We're going to be more cost effective. And you will have this bottleneck relief, right? Where your contracts are not clogging up your business. So let's build the bridge with Robin's managed services. And eventually, we will have people that are very, very tech savvy that can use the technology on their own.
Now, time for something fun to wrap up. What is the funnest or funniest legal tech failure you have come across in all your years in the sector?
Oh my God, yeah, there was this one guy, Justin. He tried to like build his own law firm. He like raised $100 million. It was like supposed to be a tech savvy law firm, but he wasn't from legal. And like it crashed and burned so quickly. And I'm like, no surprise there. Like this is a highly regulated, closed group.
Yeah, lawyers don't like outsiders, that's for sure. Is there any feature you'd ban from legal AI?
Oh, I love that. I think right now I would ban the redlining of your contracts. And if you have ever worked in Microsoft Word and track changes is turned on and you're trying to change things that are already changed, it is the most chaotic thing you have ever done and looked at. And you will end up crying. So it's better to do what Robin does, which is here's what we think it should look like. Please make the changes to the best of your judgment so that you don't have to then go redline the red line and then you don't even know who changed what, where, what, why, and you end up wanting to cry yourself to sleep.
Well, Dr. Maryam Salehijam, thank you so much for joining us on the AI Sidekick.
Thanks, Ryan.
Now it's time to bring in two experts from Robin AI to run our hero hotline, where we answer your questions, your concerns, your challenges. Call it advice, call it food for thought, call it whatever you want. The idea here is to help you get the ROI you need from AI. With me is CTO at Robin AI, Tramel Turner. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we ran a poll of our LinkedIn followers, and the question that they most want you to address today is their concern around keeping on top of AI trends. So the question is, what is one AI trend in 2025 that our listeners just have to keep on top of?
Clearly, it's Studio Ghibli videos out of OpenAI. Beyond that, though, I think a lot of enterprise constituents are going to keep the laser focus on agentic AI. What is agentic AI? What are agents? What do they do? What can they do? Can they accelerate business, reduce toil, help solve problems that were previously very hard or took a very long duration to solve? So I think a lot of 2025 will be about what agents even are and how to best utilize them within the enterprise.
And is there any sort of sub tip within that? Because I do see a lot of people out there promoting agents as the magic bullet, the full automation of a particular process. And then I wonder whether it's really like that under the hood sometimes.
I think the thing for any technology, especially something that's new or something that at least purports to be novel, is try before you buy. Make sure that you have a good understanding of your use cases, what you're actually trying to solve for, how you're going to measure success, which we've talked about previously in the context of these discussions. And if you have good clarity on both what you're willing to, struggle with as you take on some of these new challenges, and clarity on the goals, the objectives, and how you're going to measure, then I think you can lead yourself towards success.
Very wise words. Thanks for tuning into the AI Sidekick. I hope you're now feeling more confident about implementing AI into your business. If you found today's conversation valuable, be sure to subscribe and share it with your colleagues. For more insights or to see how Robin AI can help you make contracts simple, check out robinai.com. See you next time.